At exactly 4:17 in the morning, Olena stopped sleeping altogether. Not because the sirens were louder than usual. Not because another explosion had shaken the apartment building, but because her 8-year-old son, Maxim, had stopped crying when the alarms began. That silence terrified her more than any missile ever could. In Kiev, silence had become a warning sign. Children didn't grow quiet when they felt safe. They grew quiet when fear became normal. For months, Olena told herself she was being strong, that staying was brave, that leaving meant abandoning something sacred. But one night, as Maxim calmly packed his school bag before bed, just in case they had to run, she realized something unbearable. Her child was preparing for war the way other children prepared for school. That was the moment Olena made a decision that shocked her family, confused her friends, and angered strangers online. She chose the Philippines, not Europe, not North America, not a country most Ukrainians had ever seriously considered. And she was not alone. Across Southeast Asia, a quiet and unexpected pattern has emerged. Ukrainian women choosing the Philippines as a place to rebuild their lives. Why this country? Why this distance? And why are so many of these women saying the same thing once they arrive? The answer has very little to do with beaches, and everything to do with survival. The first truth: Europe was not the safe haven people imagined. From the outside, Europe looked like the obvious solution. Close, familiar, culturally similar, politically supportive. But reality told a different story. For many Ukrainian women, especially mothers, Europe quickly became a place of crowding, uncertainty, and exhaustion. Temporary shelters stretched into months, 6 people sharing one room, constant paperwork, unclear legal status, rents rising faster than assistance. Olena tried Poland first. Within weeks, she realized her savings would not last even half a year. Jobs were scarce, remote work was difficult without privacy, and every conversation, every news update kept her mentally inside the war. She wasn't healing. She was just surviving somewhere else. One night, scrolling through online forums meant for displaced Ukrainians, she noticed a strange pattern. The same country kept appearing in comment after comment. The Philippines. At first, it sounded absurd, too far, too unfamiliar, too disconnected. But the more she read, the harder it became to ignore. Affordable long-stay visas. English widely spoken, remote work-friendly. No sirens, no missiles, no shared borders with conflict. And perhaps most important of all, distance. Not just physical distance, but emotional distance from constant fear. When Ukrainian women describe landing in Manila, they almost all say the same thing. It felt overwhelming, but alive. The heat hits first, then the noise. Jeepneys painted in wild colors, street vendors shouting, music spilling into traffic. People everywhere, moving, talking, laughing. For women coming from cities trained to go silent at night, this chaos felt shocking. But it was a different kind of noise, not the sound of danger, the sound of life continuing. Olena remembers her first night vividly. A loud bang outside jolted her awake. Her heart raced. Her body reacted before her mind could catch up. Then came another bang. And another. Fireworks. Someone nearby was celebrating a birthday. She sat on the edge of the bed, shaking, then laughing, then crying. For the first time in months, the loudest sound she heard was joy. Why the Philippines works when other places don't. There is a reason this migration trend is mostly women, and often mothers. The Philippines offers something rare for people fleeing prolonged conflict: a sense of emotional permission to breathe again. First, the cost of living. Money that vanished quickly in Europe suddenly stretched further. Rent was manageable, food was affordable, internet was reliable enough for remote work. Second, the language barrier was minimal. English is spoken widely by landlords, doctors, teachers, neighbors. No constant feeling of helplessness, no dependence on translators. Third, the visa situation. While not perfect, the Philippines allows extended stays without immediate pressure to decide your entire future in the first 3 months. That breathing room matters more than people realize. And finally, the culture. Filipino society is family-oriented, emotionally expressive, and surprisingly gentle toward trauma. No one demanded explanations. No one interrogated their choices. No one asked them to prove their suffering. They were simply allowed to exist. But safety does not erase pain. In quiet apartments across Manila, Cebu, and Quezon City, Ukrainian women carry a guilt that never fully disappears. Guilt for sleeping peacefully while loved ones hide in shelters. Guilt for smiling in photos. Guilt for choosing life. Many avoid posting online. Others delete pictures minutes after sharing them. One woman said it best. "How do I explain to my husband in a trench that my biggest problem today was slow internet?" There is no correct answer. The guilt doesn't come from selfishness. It comes from love with nowhere to go. And yet, despite this weight, something slowly begins to change. Children stop flinching, teenagers laugh again, plans extend beyond tomorrow. Healing doesn't arrive loudly, it arrives quietly, almost unnoticed. Nearly every Ukrainian mother in the Philippines says the same thing. "My child changed before I did." Children adapt faster. They learn Tagalog phrases, they complain about the heat, they make friends who have never heard an air raid siren. School resumes, sometimes online, sometimes local. Sleep becomes deeper. Nightmares fade. And for mothers, this creates a painful contradiction. Relief, mixed with grief. Every step toward normal life feels like a step away from the past. Some teenagers stop saying, "when we go back," and start saying, "if we go back." That shift is quiet but irreversible. Ukrainian women find each other quietly. Through Telegram groups, private chats, word of mouth. They meet in cafes, small apartments, borrowed spaces. Former architects now working customer support. Journalists writing blogs few people read. Professionals juggling multiple remote jobs to stay afloat. They share stories not for pity, but for understanding. And something powerful happens. They stop apologizing for surviving. They speak Ukrainian freely. They laugh loudly. They allow themselves to exist without justification. In these small gatherings, a truth becomes clear. They are not running away. They are rebuilding. Here is the part rarely said out loud. The Philippines didn't just offer safety, it offered psychological distance. Far enough that fear could loosen its grip. Far enough that every headline wasn't personal. Far enough that tomorrow could mean something other than survival. This distance saved lives, not from bombs, but from despair. And that is why Ukrainian women are choosing the Philippines. Not for luxury, not for escape, but for the chance to become human again. As the sun sets over Manila Bay, the sky turns colors that feel unreal. Life continues, loud, messy, ordinary. Among the crowds walk women who made impossible choices with no perfect answers. They are not heroes. They are not traitors. They are not cowards. They are survivors. And they have learned the hardest lesson of all. Home is not always a place you return to. Sometimes it's something you build. From scratch, in the most unexpected corner of the world. And maybe, just maybe, choosing life is the brave